Could the Mavericks actually swing a trade for Jrue Holiday, or is there another veteran point guard that the Mavericks should consider? We'll break it all down. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin McGray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curla. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Could the Dallas Mavericks actually swing a trade for Jrue Holiday, or should they consider another veteran point guard? Plus, we'll get into the NBA Conference playoff talk a little bit later on in our show as well. Appreciate you joining us here, coming off of Memorial Day weekend on this terrific Tuesday, gentlemen. Tim Cato, what's going on?
Oh,
thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yelling.
Thank you.
I spent my entire Memorial Day fouling up three. I just kept going up three, and then you just got to wrap up. It's the smart basketball play.
It's the right winning strategy.
Holiday.
It took 3 days, but it was actually just all one game.
That's right.
It was just the same game. It just never ended.
Yeah, we hit an initial three to go ahead, and then just next possession down. Foul.
Bobby, you got real thoughts. We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Oh my God, I got scorching hot takes.
Fouling up three
as opposed to his usual thoughts.
That's right. What's going on,
fake.
man? Good holiday weekend?
Very good holiday weekend.
You look good. You got a fresh haircut, too. You look good,
Thank
man.
you. Shout out Cheryl. Got to Master Rank in Pokemon Unite. Shout out to all my teammates. I took a nice warm bath one night.
Okay.
Yeah, just very relaxing weekend.
Yeah, some candles going, too, or you just kind of...
I did light one candle.
There you go. Look at
use
you.
Mando?
Let me check the notes. Yeah, I love Mando. I use it all. Yep, absolutely.
We appreciate all of you joining us here as well. Hopefully you had a good and
Any
safe...
bath enjoyers in the chat? Take one from time to time.
That's a grown person thing to do.
Yeah,
is to
just
be
wind down,
yeah.
just chill.
If you want to get real grown with it, get yourself a glass of wine and really kind of just unwind there.
I should have done that.
What would be your wine of choice?
Red wine.
Okay.
Red wine guy.
What type?
Chardonnay? Oh, that's white wine.
That's a white wine.
I'm tripping.
That's a white.
I just exposed myself in terms of
like
wine.
a Pinot Noir, like a Tempranillo, or
Actually,
nice
my favorite drink of choice is sangria. Is a
Beaujolais.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always kind of for the midtones, the Tempranillos.
Okay. You are a wine. I didn't
Beaujolais.
realize you were such a wine connoisseur.
I know some wine stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know a
My
little bit
favorite
of
drink
wine.
of choice is just sangria. Period. So if you give me a sangria, I'm good to go.
Nice.
So yeah. Tanner, you got a favorite drink of choice?
Blue Moon. I'm easy. Just
Bud Light.
beer.
Beer.
Especially
Right.
Bud Light, especially when I'm watching the Stars game.
That's right. That's right.
Love
Not the
Bud Light
last
here.
two
DLLS
Stars
Sports.
That's right. Mr. Crazy says occasional shower beer. Okay.
Underrated.
I've done that on vacation before. I
Had a
Why
beer
only
in the
on
shower?
vacation? Do it at home. It's awesome.
It feels a little.
Really?
Yes, it's incredible.
Okay.
It goes hard.
Okay, and I might have to try that. Lone Star Rob says cold showers. Yikes. Good for you if you can handle that. Can't do it.
Nope.
A little bit later on, we'll get into some NBA Conference Finals talk. Can the Indiana Pacers take a 3-1 series lead over the Knicks? Plus Oklahoma City State took a 3-1 lead last night over the Minnesota Timberwolves. But the news over the weekend, Marc Stein, had to do with your Dallas Mavericks, as Marc Stein was doing some reporting when it came to what the Mavericks could be looking like in terms of their point guard situation. Tanner, help us out here. Marc Stein on his Substack saying, quote, league sources say Dallas is expected to at least explore whether they are any feasible, boys and girls, trade pathways to Boston's Jrue Holiday, complicated as that would likely be given the 3 years and $104 million still left on Holiday's contract, while also maintaining an interest in a far more reasonable trade target, as we've discussed on the DLLS Mavs podcast, Lonzo Ball. He also goes on to mention that Chris Paul is another name to monitor when it comes to the Mavericks point guard situation. So, gentlemen, let's get into it. Bobby Karalla, is a Mavericks trade for Jrue Holiday even possible at this point, looking at their situation?
Yeah, the feasibility is the operative word there, because it's going to be very difficult to do anything like that. So there's 2 times when you can make a trade, right? One would be before the end of the league year, so that's generally around draft night. But for the most part, teams will make trades after July 1st, whenever the cap rolls over. The Mavs cannot get Jrue Holiday before July 1st. They're hard capped. It's just impossible. After July 1st, as we had Bobby Marks on our show last week, that was great. We had a bunch of guests last week, but one of the things that Bobby Marks said, and we all know this now, I mean, the Mavs are technically over the second apron heading into next season. Mm-hmm. And if you're over the second apron, that means 2 things regarding this trade. One, you cannot aggregate salaries, so you cannot trade 2 players for one. You cannot add salaries together. The other thing is you cannot take back $1 more in a trade than you're giving out. Jrue Holiday in 2025-26 is going to make $32.4 million. The Mavs do not have a player on their team that makes $32.4 million. They have guys that make more. They have guys that make less. But right now, unless the Mavs shed salary with another team, they can't add players together. And where it gets particularly complicated is Boston is also above the second apron. So Boston cannot aggregate salaries, and Boston can't take $1 back more in a trade than the Celtics give out, which means in order for the Mavs to trade for Jrue Holiday, they would have to either shed salary or construct a trade using a third team that is taking money and not giving any money to either the Mavs or the Celtics, where the dollar would literally equal $32.4 million even, not like down to the penny. It's got to be identical, or the Mavs have to cut salary and then make a deal. But either way, it is going to be extremely, extremely difficult to make a move like this happen. And based on how tough it's going to be, I'm not even sure it's worth thinking about, to be honest. But I do love Jrue Holiday, so for the next 10 minutes, I want to think about it.
So Boston is about $20 million over the second apron. They don't want to trade Jrue Holiday necessarily. They feel if they end up trading Jrue Holiday, they feel they have to get under that second apron. And Jrue Holiday makes, as we said, $32 million. So yes, Dallas could, if Dallas shed salary and Dallas made sure they were beneath the second apron, they could trade Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and Omax, and they would add just $800K to their books, which means that if Dallas gets below, and then they can, at that point, they can take on a little bit more money. And again, it would take, like Jaden Hardy being moved on, it would take some moves before you get to this move. But that 3-for-1 would work because Dallas is aggregating salaries and sending them to Boston, who is just barely shedding money. But Boston doesn't want to do that. Boston wants to shed $20 million. That's the entire reason that they would go and trade Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is not a player that they look at and say, oh, he's washed, he's done, it's over. Jrue Holiday is somebody that, as they look realistically at their core and how to compete in a few years, that one of the avenues that will allow their younger players to continue competing down the road once Jason Tatum is back from his Achilles, one of the avenues is getting under the second apron right now. It's to reset the repeater tax. They probably can't even do that, but certainly it's to avoid the complications and the challenges that being over the second apron bring for your team, including up to and including like losing your first round pick or having it come at the very end of the first round,
regardless of what your record is. And that would be 7 years from now. It's impossible to know how good you're going to be in 7 years.
Exactly. So that's a situation where it won't be Dallas just sending, and you can even make the argument is Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, 2 players who have value, who have trade value. Are they worth it to give up 2-for-1 for Jrue Holiday with nothing else involved? But on Boston's perspective, even in the scenario where Dallas was willing to do that, from Boston's perspective, they wouldn't do that. I legitimately don't think that they would consider doing that, even if Dallas offered it up, because that's not their priority when it comes to trading Jrue Holiday. Their priority is getting under the second apron, and even taking back, even a trade like this just would not do it. So it would involve Atlanta. It would involve Brooklyn is probably the team, the power. Brooklyn's probably in the power position right now going into the summer. And let me tell you, it's a great time to be a team with cap space with the way the NBA is going, with the way that teams are trying to react to the new CBA.
Jrue Holiday, a 3-time first-team All-NBA defensive player, a 2-time All-Star, a 2-time NBA champion. The pedigree is obviously there for that type of player.
Great player.
And he would give you a chance in the interim to be able to hold things down until Kyrie Irving comes back. But that is an expensive price tag to pay in order to have that kind of player who is starting to show signs of decline anyway. So by the time you get to the end of that kind of a deal, what kind of player are you going to have with Jrue Holiday at the end of those few years with him on this team? And what does that mean realistically for the salary cap situation that the Mavericks are currently trying to deal with as well? But on its surface, when you look at the type of player that he is, a guy that can be a point of attack defender who can go and knock down open shots as well, play off of Kyrie as well when he comes back, he gives you a lot of flexibility both offensively and defensively to help you. But again, that is a hell of a price tag to pay and what you would have to potentially part with in order to do it. I don't know if necessarily that makes sense given what their situation is right now.
But, and this is important, each of the last 2 times Jrue Holiday has changed teams, the team that he has gone to has won the title that season.
That's true.
So there is a pattern there, all right? Is third time's a charm? That's option 1. Step 2, he plays guard.
Yes.
That's a huge advantage over like most other players in the league. Like
that's right.
More than 2/3 of the league does not play guard. Jrue Holiday does. And he's used to playing off the ball. I mean, like there's reasons to think that it could work. But it's just so hard. Like one of the only ways to do that would be to trade Gafford and PJ plus someone to shed salary. Another one would be giving up Clay or someone else in that range. Like Najee doesn't even make enough to be included in that. So like you're having to give up 2 or 3 players that play minutes for your team for one guy that regularly plays in the 60s in terms of games played. So he's not even going to play all 82 for you. He's old. He's going to make $37 million during his age 37 season.
Good for him.
No, yeah, great for him.
Yeah.
But PJ, you could probably get a first-round pick for PJ if you're trading him for a guy that just makes the same amount of money as him. You could probably get maybe a first-round pick for Gafford, but certainly like some good 2s.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you just are the world's biggest Jrue Holiday fan. Are you really going to give up what amounts to essentially 2 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday? And also, like, these are 2 starting caliber NBA players. Like, just absolutely no shot. No shot. And Kat knows. Kat is off mic saying no. And Kat knows we are a pro Jrue Holiday.
I love Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
Kat says she loves
Jrue Holiday is one of my
Jrue
favorite players of all
No,
time.
since his
Since his
Pelican, like,
Pelican
Jrue
days.
Holiday girly.
One of my
He
favorite
says
players
he
ever. I
loves Jrue
love
Holiday.
Jrue Holiday.
Bobby
Yes.
says one of his favorite
Would not
players.
trade
Wait, he
a
has mic.
single
That's all
pick
right.
for Jrue Holiday. If you are trading PJ in this make-believe scenario where you're giving up PJ and Gafford, you better be getting like multiple picks back. Like
Sure.
I'm talking like you're getting quite a bit of stuff because those 2 dudes can play.
I'm jumping ahead slightly, but in a scenario where Dallas went and got Jrue Holiday, I don't think Chris Paul is I don't think this list from Marc Stein, this reporting, I don't think it's Jrue or Lonzo, or it might be Jrue or Lonzo, but I don't think it's Jrue or Chris. I don't think it's Lonzo or Chris. I think in this scenario, Dallas would quite possibly benefit from acquiring them both.
I agree with what Isaac says in the chat. I'll take Tatum instead. I agree. That would be a prudent decision for the Mavs.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
So the reason I was going to say that is Jrue
Tatum,
Holiday.
Cooper Flag front court.
Drew Holiday ran 1 pick and roll per game last season. He is absolutely capable of doing creation, of creating shots, for being a point guard, for being a lead ball handler. But he's not going to fill. He's going to fill at best 50% of the role that Kyrie does. He's just a different type of player now. Now he is probably the best possible replacement you can find to play alongside Kyrie.
Yes.
Once he comes back,
That's the appeal.
But
that's
I don't
yeah.
think that Jrue Holiday does enough to get you to, where you need to be if Kyrie's coming back 60 games into the season. I don't know if elevates the offense quite enough, even though, like,
Because
I
right
think
now
he
we're talking about
elevates-
Brandon Williams and Jrue
I
Holiday.
think he
is
helps
just
the
starting-
offense. I just
yeah.
think that getting him would not be the end of trying to make sure you have enough creation and guards on the roster.
And it's going to cost you everything you have.
Yeah.
So it's just yeah.
Yeah, the idea as of right now, the Mavericks have one guard on their team, one point guard on the team that's healthy, and that's Brandon Williams. So the idea of pairing Brandon Williams potentially alongside Jrue Holiday, that would be something you would have to contemplate given what their roster situation is at their point guard spot.
Make up your mind, Bobby. Are you going to sneeze or not?
Dude, I live in a state of expecting sneezes right now.
Well, hopefully you can hold it off till after the show's over with.
I doubt it.
Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, let's talk about the other two guards that Marc Stein mentioned, Chris Paul and Lonzo Ball. One or both, could those be options for the Mavericks? We'll discuss that coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And Impart Today can help you get it. Impart Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. You've all been to the big box stores. You wander endless aisles. You're taking the materials home. You're loading them into your RAV4, your Toyota. It doesn't fit. The floor is too big. They're too long. Like, how are they ever going to make it in there? You're looking for an installer. You're coordinating everything yourself. It just comes down to you. Not with Impart Today. Impart Today is your best bet for a new floor because they live and breathe flooring. They will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring their showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit ImpartToday/DLLS for full details.
It's summertime, boys and girls, and that means it's time to get out and enjoy the great outdoors. And you don't want to be blinded by the sun, so you got to get Shady Rays in order to help you take care of that. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shades that have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all of your outdoor activities. Hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style and, sure, in your team's favorite colors as well. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Make sure you check out Shady Rays today. Let's get into the other point guards that Marc Stein mentioned over the weekend when it came to the Mavericks' possibilities that they may be looking at to stem the tide until Kyrie Irving comes back. Last segment, we dealt with the idea of Jrue Holiday of the Boston Celtics being an option for the Dallas Mavericks. What does that look like for them? Let's take a look at the other two guards that Marc Stein mentioned, Chris Paul and Lonzo Ball of the Chicago Bulls. Now, Chris Paul, 40 years old, of course, just turned 40 a couple of weeks ago at the beginning of May. Lonzo Ball, playing with the Chicago Bulls this past season, has 2 years, $20 million left on his deal. Chris Paul, a free agent going into this summer, and as Stein reported, may be looking to be on the move as well after spending last season with the San Antonio Spurs. So, gentlemen, let's look at these other two options. Tim Cato, we'll start with the 40-year-old Chris Paul, who, if he were to join the Dallas Mavericks, you would have 2 of the top 3 assist men in NBA history, or 2 of the top 5 assist men in NBA history on the same team with head coach Jason Kidd and, of course, Chris Paul. Thoughts on CP3 potentially as a Dallas Maverick?
Again, I think the bigger questions are what Chris Paul wants and whether it's feasible, whether he is looking for more than the veterans minimum. The scenarios where Dallas acquires Chris Paul for anything other than the veterans minimum are very difficult, if not impossible, to imagine. And so the question is veterans minimum. Is that something that Chris Paul is willing to do, again, outside of the state where his family lives, another year, another season away from LA, and to do that, making, $7 million less than he was? I mean, the veterans minimum for a player of his age is actually quite high. what was he making, like $4 million last year?
Yeah, but for his, I think
Yeah.
he'd be getting like $3.5 million or something like that.
Yeah, something around. Well, no,
Decent chunk of change.
last season he was making $10 million.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
or $11 million, which is why it would be a drop, but it's not as much of a drop as like a first time. Even though Dallas is going to be, it's going to be a flat fee on the salary cap. He'd be making at least a little bit more. I like the fit. I think the fit has some sense. I think that Chris Paul is the type of guy who elevates your offense. I don't think he has a lot of ability to play alongside Kyrie. I don't know how big of a role he would have once that happens, but and I don't think Chris Paul is. I think Chris Paul is a great bench option. I think Chris Paul is a great guy to pencil in for 24 minutes. I think no matter what guard you're acquiring, because most of the guards that we're looking at are not like heliocentric lead offense ball handlers. I think you could add Chris Paul in a 20 to 25 minute role and add somebody else and have Kyrie come back. It's just a matter of, does Chris Paul want that? I think if you're signing Chris Paul to be a 30-minute player, a 26-minute player every night and elevate your offense in those ways, I think that's tough. But I still think he's good. I still think he adds when he's on the court. Yeah.
I mean, they only have the minimum. I don't know how. Like, he's a very popular name among Mavs fans, obviously for good reason. He's a great player, but every team would love to have him on the minimum. And if all 30 teams want you at one price, then that means that you can up that price. Maybe he doesn't go for like the full mid-level exception and make $14 million or whatever, but a lot of teams have the non-taxpayer mid-level, which is closer to like $6 million, which is way more than the Mavs can offer him. And the Mavs would have to shed significant salary. This is another thing that Bobby Marks said last week with us. They would have to shed a lot of salary just to be able to offer that to someone. And so think about that as a trade. It's not a free agent acquisition. The Mavs would have to make several $1 million disappear just to get Chris Paul. So it's basically you're trading a guy making PJ's salary or Gafford's salary essentially just to get Chris Paul. I don't think that's worth it, and so I'm not sure that is, to use a Marc Stein word, very feasible. I think Chris Paul will get more. And if it does come to be that he just signs for the minimum, then Tim, like you said, he's probably going to give preference to Cali, because who wouldn't?
Right.
Chris Paul last year played 82 games for the San Antonio Spurs, so the durability and the reliability for someone of that stature at his age is
he still wants
there.
to win a title too.
And he still wants to win a title. The question would be, if he comes to a situation in Dallas, how much closer does he feel like he is toward that elusive NBA championship?
He's also played under 60 games in 4 of the last 7 seasons prior to this one.
Sure.
Certainly part of it, but
I see what you're doing, Tanner. But that is interesting, the fact that he was able to play the games that he did last year. But there may be a situation, someone mentioned in the chat, that he stays in the situation that he is in right now in San Antonio, given the fact that he did play there last year and running it back potentially with the healthy Victor Wembanyama.
It seems like all the reporting points to him not doing that.
And if he doesn't, does he go?
Doesn't seem like he's back in San Antonio.
Yeah, does he go back home toward California with the Lakers or the Clippers or somewhere out west where he is closer to his family? That's a decision that he's going to have to make this upcoming offseason. Let's focus in on the other guard that was mentioned by our own Marc Stein. Let's turn our attention to Anthony Davis's hometown of Chicago, where Lonzo Ball plays, of course, for the Chicago Bulls. 2 years, $20 million left for him on his contract, Bobby Carella. The fit for Lonzo Ball, does he make sense in a Dallas Mavericks uniform, given his skill set, but yet injury concerns for him throughout the course of his career as well?
Yeah, significant injury concerns, man. I mean, he's played 70 games total since the end of the 2020-21 season. Missed 2 entire years, played 35 games last season, shot less than 37% from the floor, 34% from 3. The Lonzo Ball that we have in our minds, yes, ideal player on any team in the NBA. He was an unbelievable player that first year in Chicago, especially, but even down his last few rookie years that he had with New Orleans. But
he was awesome in New Orleans.
Yeah, he was so good,
years.
man. I mean,
he was really good in Chicago too. But
but that Chicago team with him and Caruso was just nasty, dude. It was so much fun to watch.
We only got a half season of it. Not even a half season.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I don't know that he could ever become, due to all of his medical concerns, I just don't know if he could ever become that player again. But a player of his quality that can play on the ball or off the ball, push it in transition, pretty active defense at the point of attack. He was kind of an agent of chaos on defense alongside Caruso for that Bulls team. If he could be an approximation of that guy at that, contract value, then sure.
I mean,
but what if he's not?
You know who he is?
Who's that?
He's Dante Exum.
Okay.
He's hopefully a better shooting Dante Exum. But that's the hope. If Lonzo Ball is on the Dallas Mavericks, what you're signing him for is his point of attack defense, because he's just a big point guard. Like big guard, 6'5", movement. You're signing him for that. You're signing him for the shooting, the off ball, the ability to play off ball, I should say specifically, and the ability to create stuff on the weak side of the court as an off-ball player. Off-ball player all of a sudden put into a creating, attacking second side role.
What if the alternative to Lonzo is Dante at the minimum? Is Lonzo Ball significantly better, 4 times better than someone that you would sign for the minimum?
I think that if you're a championship team, yes.
Okay.
I think that's the hope. Okay. I mean that's the idea. Like having a volume shooting Dante Exum, someone who's more willing and confident to take those jumpers, even contested jumpers. I think there's a lot of value in that. Now, the point I want to make here is that Dante Exum, I know that you can go look him up anywhere. It's going to say point guard next to his name. Is he a point guard? Is he somebody who created offense for Dallas? You guys watched him the past couple seasons. Is he somebody who created offense on the ball as a lead ball handler? No. He's a secondary ball creator. And that's why Lonzo, as much as I like him as a basketball player, and I think he perfectly fits onto Dallas, he's not the point guard solution. He's not the Kyrie replacement. He's not the fill-in. He's somebody who could work alongside Chris Paul or even alongside Jrue Holiday. However, Dallas likely isn't going to have the ammo to make two moves, 2 trades. Maybe we're wrong about that. But I would view Lonzo as a 3-and-D wing with plus passing. But again, you could be the best passer in the world. Me or Bobby could be the most skilled passers to ever live. But because we can't beat NBA players off the dribble, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
And also, I mean, I did not watch the Chicago Bulls down the stretch, my bad. But if he has lost any step defensively, then that's also a huge concern too, because the Mavs need guys that can defend guards. They need guards that can guard guards. In order to get him, based on his contract value, you would have to trade at least Najee, maybe PJ or Gafford, and take some money back. Or if Chicago is just desperate to move on, then you could trade like Hardy and Omax for him. Sure, I guess
Najee and Hardy would make the most sense from a salary perspective.
That they would make too much,
because Najee makes 9
and Hardy makes 6,
so that's 15.
Lonzo
so
makes 10. So you'd have to take more money back.
Yeah, take more money back.
Yeah.
There's got to be, like, Gafford is the piece that makes the most sense.
I just don't know if I want to trade Gafford for Lonzo Ball, dude.
And Gafford going back to Chicago.
No disrespect to Lonzo. I love Lonzo's game, but yeah, it's just like,
I mean, it's
again, because you're trading a first-round pick for Lonzo. Like, that's just
no. I think at that point that is a scenario where you would expect Chicago to send you back something else, like a pick.
What do they have? The 11th pick?
They're probably not sending that. I think that
why
might
not?
Be.
By the way, that 2-year, $20 million.
11's too rich for Daniel Gafford.
The 2-year, $20 million extension that Ball signed in February, the second year of that extension is a team option, just to give you consideration there when it comes to the flexibility that the Mavericks would have if they acquired such a player in terms of his contract. So of the 3 that we've discussed, Chris Paul, Lonzo Ball, Jrue Holiday, I mean, for me, I can't believe I'm saying this in this particular universe, Chris Paul makes the most sense at this stage in his career. He can play off of Kyrie Irving. I was just saying, let me take it back. He can play until Kyrie Irving gets back. He wouldn't mind being coming off the bench as well. But also the ability to run pick and roll with Derek Lively. He can work with the big men that you have here as well. I think that makes the most sense given the options that are available. If we're talking about these 3 players, that Chris Paul would be the one that I would pick in terms of the scenario that we're talking about.
I think he's the least feasible to get, though, because it's just not realistic.
Well, the least feasible is Jrue Holiday.
They can actually get him, whereas with CP3 they just can't get unless he agrees to play for the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's minimum or else. I mean, there's people in. Actually, I have. Why don't we take the break?
I
and
like.
I have a.
La Fe Mueve Montaña says people saying Russell Westbrook. I'm a Russell Westbrook enjoyer. I am a Russ enjoyer. I want to go on record with that. I love Russ.
Westbrook.
Golly, man, he's such a turnover machine.
Dude,
man.
that's the guy at the minimum.
Awesome though. It's like must-watch TV. He is must-watch.
Oh boy,
he is intense.
Okay.
He's insane. He's reckless. He's explosive. He's awesome.
All right, let's dive into that. Let's because clearly Bobby's got thoughts. Let's dive into that. Russell Westbrook in a Maverick uniform. He's a free agent. Let's dive into some other point guard possibilities, plus an NBA Conference Finals talk as well here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
First, let me tell you about Sleeper. It's everyone's favorite fantasy app, including my own, but you can also use it to predict whether your favorite or least favorite players will record more or less than their projected stats lines each and every night. And yes, that includes Russell Westbrook turnovers, but that also includes Russell Westbrook points. And no app can measure Russell Westbrook's spirit, KG.
That's true.
But you can do it for any sport, not just basketball. You can do it for hockey playoffs. You can do it for WNBA. You can do it for baseball and so on every single night. If you want to play along, download the Sleeper app today. Use promo code DLLS Mavs whenever you play. $5. You get $55 in free plays to use anytime. Any play does not have to be your first one. And that money will take you right to the top because on Sleeper, the more you pick, the more you win, all the way up to 100 times your play. Just check the terms and conditions before you download it. It is available in more than 25 states, including Texas. So what are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today.
We're officially back with conditions here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But I got some big and little news to share with you. All City, including us here at DLLS Sports, is teaming up with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America for an exciting 3-year partnership. This isn't just about sports. It's about community. Together, we're combining with Big Brothers Big Sisters incredible youth mentoring programs with the passion and power of All City's local sports coverage to create something truly meaningful. We kicked off our partnership during our NFL draft week, but it doesn't stop there. We'll be working year-round to support Big Brothers Big Sisters through fundraising, content, events, and even opportunities for our team and maybe for some of you as well to get directly involved. So we're excited to support youth mentorship through what really makes a difference. You can learn more and see how to get involved at BBS.org/allcity. That's BBBS.org/allcity to get involved today. Let's get into some wild ass point guard possibilities.
Let's go.
Because Bobby kicked us off. You feel Russell Westbrook. Okay, let me reset real quick. So we talked about Chris Paul, Lonzo Ball, and also Jrue Holiday potentially as point guard possibilities. See Marc Stein Substack for more when it comes to those potential possibilities there. We ran through some of the ideas that could happen for the Mavericks. So some of the other free agent point guards that are available, Tyus Jones, Russell Westbrook, Malcolm Brogdon also available. Hell, Bruce Brown. I saw somebody throw in D'Angelo Russell as well. That's real. I don't know if we're going to go down that road. But Bobby's got some real thoughts on Russell Westbrook potentially in a Maverick uniform.
As Russ would say, why not? I mean, all the other three guys that we just talked about, the Mavs would have to essentially move heaven and earth to get. You're either giving up a super valuable rotation player to get Lonzo, you're having to move a lot of money just to get Chris Paul, which is essentially a trade, or you're having to trade multiple really, really high quality rotation player, high minutes guys to get Jrue Holiday. Like, I'm not really interested in doing any of those things. Russ, though, you might be able to get at the minimum. He signed, I believe, the biannual with Denver last season. Did all right. Checkered results, as has been the case for him for a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he is a veteran minimum player. I don't know if that's what he would sign for, but the Mavs would certainly afford him the opportunity to start, at least out of the gate. I mean, he can play point guard.
He can definitely play
he'll
point
get that
guard.
ball at the floor. He'll get that ball in the paint, and he'll put that ball high off the glass. And sometimes it might go above the glass. He is awesome, dude. He's if Jameis Winston was a point guard. He's incredible. High entertainment value, but he's also a competitor. I think, when was the last time he was on a team that did not make the playoffs? Like, dude is always in the postseason. Granted, he's been on a lot of good teams throughout his career. Sometimes it has nothing to do with him, but like, That dude is about winning. He's about competing. He's about going out there and doing some wild stuff. It is fun to watch. And I think that him and Cooper Flagg would lead the league in roars per 36. Like, it'd just be fun. It would just be fun. And dunks are cool. I love dunks.
The last time was the 21-22 season with the Lakers.
It was not his fault.
Yeah, that was
Not
there's a
his
lot
fault.
going on that
Even though he
year.
got blamed for a lot of it, unfairly, I think.
So reuniting Russell Westbrook with Anthony Davis potentially here in Dallas.
So Westbrook, I think, is at this point of his career veterans minimum. I think he's able to be gotten that way. The problem with Dallas and free agents is that
Oh, you're getting old too there.
even if they get down to the mid-level, the taxpayers mid-level, it's $5.7 million next season.
Mhm.
That's just it's not almost anything. Like
It's
compared
not
to
a
the
competitive
mid-level.
offer for a really good player.
It's not even double of the it's not even double the veterans minimum.
Can I help you
So-
out as well real quick?
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is apparently going to have surgery on his right hand for 2 fractures in his right hand that happened during the season. So you could throw
That's right in.
He's 36 years old, going to be coming off of looks like right hand surgery to repair not
Kyrie
one
had
but 2.
a hand fracture, and I mean,
Yeah, I'm just
it
saying.
happens.
This just
It happens.
just that's a note that's circulating right now as well. So
Yeah,
you know.
so the taxpayers mid-level it's not even it's barely any more money than the biannual exception, which is already seen as kind of a it's a last resort type of exception for free agents to go take. You know, it's just a slightly nicer way to say I didn't make the minimum, but I might as well have. And so I there is a scenario where Dallas could shed a lot of salary, but if Dallas is shedding salary to get cap space, to get lower in the cap, that means that all of a sudden trading PJ, who has value by himself, if you're just trading him into cap space, that's the value. You know, like Brooklyn, if you're in a situation where you have to shed salary and you say, Brooklyn, we'll send you PJ because we have to shed salary because Bruce Brown is willing to come for us for the mid-level, the taxpayers mid-level, which I don't think he would be. If Dallas had the non-pet taxpayer mid-level, different situation, but they don't. They're nowhere close to it. I don't think there's no feasible way for them to get off that much money to have the $14 million slot open. But let's just say in a scenario that Dennis Schroeder is another guy that a lot of people have talked about. Maybe for some reason he's willing to sign for about the $6 million of the non-taxpayer, the taxpayer mid-level. That's going to be about the only avenue Dallas has to sign non-minimum free agents. The only avenue, not the only, or not one of the only. It's going to be the only path. Sure, they're signing. Theoretically, there's some sign and trade stuff that we can talk about, but that's the easiest way would be to dump a bunch of salary. But then in that scenario, you're not sending PJ Washington for a first-round pick. You're sending him in. The value of trading him is that Brooklyn's going to be like, well, there's not a lot of other teams that are just going to absorb him from nothing, so that you guys can go get your player. So at that point, even though you're trading PJ Washington into space for nothing, you're acquiring an avenue, a tool to go sign Dennis Schroeder. Again, this is just speculation, but you would kind of look at it as a PJ for Dennis swap.
that would be horrible.
That's my point. That's what I'm building to. Like
That would be terrible.
At that point, you're trading away players just to open space, just to go get a
To
player.
sign a stopgap, like
yeah.
F
I
no.
don't like if you're
We
going
need a
to
bleep button,
trade.
Tanner, because I need to say the F word real bad.
If you're gonna go trade PJ Washington and get a player like Jrue Holiday back, that's one thing.
That's one thing.
I just don't. There is no scenario to me outside. If you guys really want to throw me the sign and trade scenarios, and we can discuss those.
Oh,
But
okay. You heard
There's
it there
no
first.
scenario where Dallas is going to get a free agent point guard.
By the way,
who is not at the minimum. And we just don't know whether Chris Paul is going to be that.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is interesting because at least we know that's probably his market, or it has been his market. He has been willing to sign at that level.
well, the interesting thing, so we talked about with Russell Wilson, I did it. I knew I was going to do that. Russell Westbrook.
We need to let both of them cook, dude. They're both fun to watch.
Russ Wilson is doing just fine. He gets to cook every day at home. You can know what I'm talking about later.
What? Okay, keep going.
Never mind. Russell Westbrook has until June 29th to opt into what is a $3.3 million player option for next season with Denver. So that
Which
kind
is the
of
minimum, I believe, yes.
so that gives you an idea that
So there's no harm to him opting out.
Yeah, so he could take the $3.3 million with his own player option or opt out. And
He'll opt out even if he wants to go back to Denver. Unless he's sure he's going back to Denver. But I can't imagine a scenario where I don't know.
So that just gives you an idea what he's dealing with in terms of his own options for the summer when it comes to his contract. Last year, averaged 13.3 points per game, nearly 45% shooting, 6.1 assists, and 5 rebounds in 28 minutes of play, playing 75 games for the Denver Nuggets. If nothing else,
awesome.
Nothing else, it's going to be hella fun
He's
to watch
awesome,
Russell Westbrook.
dude.
Yeah, the entertainment value would be off the charts with a Russell Westbrook starting at point guard until Kyrie Irving comes back.
Does Dallas have to get under the second apron or the first apron to do sign and trades?
Second,
right?
You cannot do anything if you're over the second.
Right.
I don't know the rule on sign and trades because they got Clay in such a convoluted deal where also cash was involved. Something about that trade hard capped them. Could not tell you which part it was. So they might have to get under the first apron too. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Brian. You got the reference when it came to Russell Wilson. Thank you so much.
What just dawned on me is that one of the teams we know needs a center is New Orleans, and Bruce Brown ended up in New Orleans at the end of the year. Just wondering, sign and trade. Gafford goes to New Orleans. I kind of like Bruce Brown.
I don't want to pay him that much money. That's just so much money. He's a good player though.
Any other point guard options that you may consider, whether it be Tyus Jones, Malcolm Brogdon? Someone mentioned D'Angelo Russell as well. Is there any other free agent point guards that you would consider as a potential stop?
I don't think D'Angelo's signing for the minimum anywhere.
Agreed.
I don't think Brogdon is. I don't think D'Angelo is.
I bet Brogdon gets the minimum, but
Really? Maybe at this point. I guess
the face that Bobby made talking about Malcolm Brogdon.
He turns
not a
33 next
Brogdon
season.
guy.
He is not the player that he once was.
Tyus Jones is interesting, but I don't know if he would take the minimum. But then again, like you're looking around the league, a lot of teams are dealing with some financial woes right now, and so I'm not sure how many teams will have full mid-levels, and a lot of teams are splitting up their mid-levels anyway, and maybe he gets the taxpayer mid-levels. I don't know. He did not have a very good end of the year.
Was that more
Phoenix.
so due to the situation that he was in relative to how good of a player he is? I think he just needs a new situation. That thing in Phoenix.
I don't know.
stinks.
Okay, so the positive side, good assist to turnover ratio, good table setter, can see the floor. The downside, he's like 6'1" and doesn't play defense.
And we already got
those guys are kind of going out of style, They're just like he's a really good backup point guard.
And we kind of have one of those in Brandon Williams here already.
Yeah. I mean, Brandon Williams is more of a scorer.
Yeah.
This team kind of needs scoring and shooting more than it needs. I know we get on Maine and just beg for playmaking, but they also need scoring too. Ideally you get a guy that can do both.
I think it's one and the same.
Yeah.
Scoring
is making a play, right?
Yeah. It's not a one-to-one overlap, but the Venn diagram is very thick between the parts of the circles that overlap are pretty significant, and that's why Tyus Jones, he's somebody who generates a lot of assists, but I think the offense may. I would almost prefer to have a Dante Exum or I guess that's kind of what he is, but a Dante Exum or Lonzo Ball, at least somebody who I like a little bit more on the weak side trying to make a play rather than, the guy who just is making the pass into the player who shoots.
One person in the chat mentioned your guy, KG, Ty Jerome from Cleveland. He had a fantastic season.
When did that happen?
Well, you shouted out Cleveland's bench right at the start of the year.
Yeah,
you're like,
right.
Ty Jerome and the Cavs bench, second
I
unit.
appreciate the accountability. Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. You're right.
The one issue with Ty Jerome, you're going to have to pay a lot. You're going to have to get him in a sign and trade, so you're going to have to give up something to get him.
Mm-hmm.
He has played 229 games in his career, has started 10 games in his career.
Ooh.
I don't know, given the tenuous financial restrictions and situation the Mavs are facing, I'm not sure if I want to invest the resources it would take to get a guy to find out if he could be a starter, even if he's only a starter for 3 to 4 months. I don't know if I want to find out if he can do that or not.
And have to pay and give up money or give up something to get him to try to find out.
Yeah, I'm not convinced Brandon Williams wouldn't give you what Ty Jerome gives you on this team.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Like Ty Jerome is I really liked watching him this year. And yes, we saw some of his playoff limitations, but that doesn't blow me away at all. Does not.
I mean, right now, that's your starting point guard. Right now is Brandon Williams. That's the only point guard that you trust that's under contract right now. Spencer Dinwiddie, Dante Exum, of course, they are free agents. I am not going to rule out the possibility that Spencer Dinwiddie still finds his way back to Dallas.
Exum could too. I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah.
You know,
now the
if you're just
question
looking for guys.
Yeah, is Spencer willing to play for the minimum again at this stage in his career after having the kind of year that he
Does
did?
he have any choice?
That's what I mean. Like that may be a reason why it's like, hey, where he is as a player in his career versus what Dallas could offer him. That might be something that you could potentially just go ahead and just run that back with him.
If he wants to be here, though, what if he wants to go to L.A.? You know,
I mean, he came back on his own volition this time around.
Anyway, yeah,
And it ended poorly. I mean, don't underestimate the fact that he got benched at the end of the year.
That's true.
That is something that could affect, especially after you started the entire time, and then and then Dallas goes down big in the second play-in game, and turns to Spencer, but that is something that could stick with a player. I'm not saying it is. I don't know, but that's something that could stick with a player.
Sometimes it's better to go with the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. And they dose Spencer Dinwiddie quite well here in Dallas. Let us know in the chat what you think in terms of the point guard options that the Mavericks could potentially have this upcoming summer.
Hey, can we chill with all the weird stuff that y'all are saying in the chat right now? Like, good God. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, people saying like Lucas sexuals and this Italy guy just said something worse. Like, could you relax, please? Thank you.
Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back,
Jesus,
let's talk
man.
NBA Conference Finals as the Knicks try to even their series at 2 games apiece. All that more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Hey, but first, the time is right to sign up to become a diehard here at DLLS Sports. Last week we crossed the 25,000 subscriber milestone here. Thank you to most of you for hanging out in the chat, commenting, liking, subscribing our videos, tuning in for the live streams, and so much more. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Whether the Stars are getting smoked in the playoffs or winning, we're bringing you watch-alongs for their road games, post and pregame and postgame coverage for all of their playoff games. We got Rangers coverage and Cowboys coverage as well, in addition to our Mav show. And just last week, we rolled out our first ever DLLS Wings podcast.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be back, I believe, on Thursday.
Wings play tonight. They got to get a win tonight. They play the Connecticut Sun.
Will they ever win a game?
Oh,
tune in to find out. But whether they go defeated or undefeated the rest of the way, we will be bringing you shows covering that team once a week to start, and maybe even more often here soon. But if you want to take your support for what we're doing one step further, you can scan the QR code beneath me, click the link in the description below, or go to alldlls.com/diehard, where you can sign up to become a diehard. When you do, currently it's just $4 a month-ish. When you do, you get a free shirt of your choice. We got more than 40 designs to choose from, including, check out that fierce, ferocious, menacing otter, Jake Ottinger. That guy needs some help in front of the goal.
He got to stand on his head tonight.
The Oilers are just peppering that dude.
Man.
He's doing his very best. If you wear this shirt, it will actually cut his GAA in half. That is scientifically proven. You also get to join the DLS Dyer Discord. You get to read the whole website, all of our written stuff at alldls.com.
Will it make Connor McDavid not be able to play?
Send
him to a different team.
It has nothing to do with it. Maybe Connor McDavid can become a Mavs point guard next season. And you get a discount on merch and all that other stuff. So thank you.
Merch. Yeah, man. Shout out to Jake Ottinger. He's got to stand on his head tonight as the Stars look to avoid a 3-1 deficit at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. Our DLLS Stars crew going to be all over tonight with a watch along as well for Game 4 of the Western Conference Final.
Sorry for yelling. I just saw everyone makes. Just be cool, be normal.
Yeah, just
don't be weird in chat or ever.
Appreciate that. Let's finish up here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Speaking of Western Conference Finals, shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder's big 3 last time, because they came up huge to take a 3-1 lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jalen Williams had 34 points. Shea had 40 in the win last night as well. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, gentlemen, are on the brink of taking out the Minnesota Timberwolves, as they will go back to Oklahoma City up 3-1 in a terrific basketball game last night. OKC wins 128-126. But there was a lot of conversation coming out of the game at the end of the game where, yes, winning strategy was had by the Thunder, Bobby, but in a lot of ways, fans not thrilled at the way the last 30 seconds or so went down in that game.
It was not 30 seconds. It was 30 minutes, KG.
Of gameplay, game clock, 30 seconds. So actual time, 30 minutes.
Fouling up 3, especially when your opponent doesn't have any timeouts left, is objectively the correct and smart way to play inside the final, especially 10-ish seconds. Yeah. That window between 12 to like 5 seconds left in the game. If you can foul, your opponent can only score 2 points, and then they have to foul you. Ideally, you're going to score 2 points, and they can never take a 3 to tie the game or take the lead on like a 4-point play or something. But here's the deal. It is boring. It sucks to watch. It is not fun. It is not basketball. There are so many other rules in the league that have been instituted to generate drama late in games. For example, if the other team makes a shot and you call a timeout, you get to advance it past midcourt. You just get to advance the ball for free. Think of how many great buzzer beaters have happened as a result of that. Is that like smart? No, obviously the defense is put at a disadvantage whenever the offense can advance it 60 feet for free. But like that's the deal. We want drama. We want it to be fun. We want it to be entertaining. We want the players to decide the game. We don't want a free throw shooting contest. Free throws are boring. We don't want to foul. Fouls are actual violations of the game. Like, you're breaking the rules by fouling. Why are we rewarding that behavior? Like, it's just lame. It's dull. It's boring. Makes the ends of games drag. Makes them anticlimactic. And I hope the league changes it.
How would you go about changing it?
So the popular one is that if you foul, whatever Nate Duncan said, outside the 3-point line, whatever. Like, if you foul intentionally up 3 late in games, it's 1 shot in the ball.
And so you just make a rule so it only applies to the team that's ahead?
That's winning, yeah.
I mean, is that – I guess that's fine, because you can't put a rule in that's just a blanket one, because then the team that's behind also can't foul to –
Yeah, it wouldn't be blanket. It's only if you're winning. I think another one is if you foul with the lead intentionally – and this would kind of skirt around that. If you foul intentionally whenever you have the lead inside the final minute or 30 seconds or whatever it is, then you just reset the clock to whatever it was at the last stoppage. So you're fouling and no time goes off. Even if you wait 7 seconds and hack, boom, add 7 seconds back on. Like, I want to punish these teams for fouling because it is boring. And the fact that, yes, Lou Dort's team is doing it does make me feel a little stronger about it. I recognize my bias. I'll admit it. I don't like it. I hate it. I think it's lame.
Would that not drag out the game longer, though, if you're just constantly resetting the clock back?
Well, eventually you're going to miss a free throw.
Yeah. Because we're talking about the lengths of the games already being extended. If you continuously do that and just reset the clock
I mean,
back.
I didn't really think it through very much whenever I posted that tweet.
Because I'm like, you want to talk about extended games, we could be there for an hour.
One shot in the ball, one shot in the ball speeds it up a little bit. Or you just give me points. If you foul, just give me 2 points. Like, skip the free throws. I don't want to watch free throws. Like, every free throw I have to watch is time wasted from my precious life. Like, I want to take all steps we can to eliminate free throws from the game, not add more of them.
I agree with that. I think the rule that you would implement to get rid of this, the rule doesn't really matter. It matters, but it matters that teams aren't doing it. It matters that you put in a rule so that teams just stop doing that it's not a viable thing to do anymore. So at some point, it doesn't actually matter what the rule is because, like, put seconds back on or whatever. No, you would just make it a take foul. Again, I think it feels weird to me, not icky, just like weird that, okay, well, this only applies to the team that's behind, or the teams that's
winning.
Ahead.
Yeah,
the team that's behind can still foul and put the other team on the free throw line so that you guys can try to get back into games, but the other team can't foul up 3. There is something, but look, I mean, it's an entertainment product. At the end of the day, it is entertainment. So you're allowed to do that if you're the NBA. You can just make that the rule and go with it. It's something weird about it. I mean, obviously, it's. I don't think we're anywhere close as a sport to getting towards like an Elam ending or,
Nah, no one wants that.
Yeah, I don't think on this.
I don't know if I want that either.
We like buzzer beaters. Like, buzzer beaters are fun. Like, we should create more chances for buzzer beaters. Like the Tyrese Halliburton play against the Knicks. It was awesome. Hits the heel of the rim, bounces up 6,000 feet in the air, and then falls right through the net. We thought it was a game winner. It was just a 2. Had the Pacers been down 3, that play never would have happened. The Knicks just would have fouled him. think about how much less fun that game would have been had that been the case. Like, it's boring, dude. It sucks.
It also sucks for Bobby because the Oklahoma City Thunder are on the verge of going to the NBA Finals.
No, they're a great team. They're great.
No,
They're
just
great.
but they win 128-126. Chet Holmgren, 21 points in the win. Jalen Williams, J-Dub had a really nice night, 34 points, career playoff high for him. Shea went for 40 last night in the win as the Oklahoma City Thunder now go up 3-1. They head back to OKC with a chance to close that series out tomorrow against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I thought the Timberwolves got great games from their bench. I thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker was fantastic. Jaden McDaniels was great. They just did not get anything from Anthony Edwards or particularly Julius Randle last night, did the Timberwolves, and now they have to try to stave off elimination tomorrow. The Knicks will try to avoid going down 3-1 tonight in Indiana after getting a terrific comeback win in Game 3 where they were on the verge of going down 3-0, but another 20-point comeback for the New York Knicks. Karl-Anthony Towns going off for 20 points in the fourth quarter of Game 3 saves the Knicks from going down.
Brunson on the bench too.
Say it again.
Brunson wasn't even out there for most of
No,
that.
he wasn't. Karl-Anthony Towns just simply took over, and he remembered what kind of player he was. He was knocking down threes, driving to the basket, dunking on folks. Spectacular fourth quarter for him. Can the Pacers, gentlemen, take a 3-1 lead as Rick Carlisle tries to get his team that much closer to the NBA Finals?
What you think about DeLon Wright being the source of the downfall for the Pacers?
I didn't even know he played for the Knicks until he showed up.
Honestly,
on the floor.
I didn't even know he was in the league. Like, I just completely forgot about DeLon Wright.
I was like, hey, is that DeLon Wright? I was
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I thought he's
a guy
nice little player.
that Rick just did not want to give minutes to. all of a sudden, spoiling their 3-0 lead. Yeah,
right. DeLon Wright,
like,
is that
good for him.
yeah, that's great. Yeah,
awesome.
Good for
job.
him. But,
Good job, DeLon.
Can the Knicks find a way to tie it up 2-2 tonight, or are they going down 3-1?
Maybe.
I don't know. That might have been their
possible.
their 2021 Game 3 moment.
I guess
Up-
the Pacers
up
shouldn't
20
go
and
up
they
by
blow it?
20 at any point in this game, right? Is that the formula? Just don't go up by 20 against the Knicks?
Yeah, Pacers,
on the road?
you cannot be ahead 20 points going into the second half. You cannot be.
Yeah.
But also Knicks, you can't be up 7 going into the final minute. So it's those are the stakes. Whoever messes that up is going to be the loser.
Do you know who is going to be in the house, though, tonight for the Indiana Pacers?
Timothy Chalamet.
That's true. Yes, for the Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton's dad is back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's going to be able to sit in a suite and watch his son play basketball. So, no, he's not going to be on the floor, Giannis, to approach him after a game. He'll be sitting up in a suite to watch his son Tyrese play. So, shout out to John Halliburton. He's back watching his son play games in Indiana. So, I'm going to pick Indiana to go up 3-1 tonight. I think the Indiana Pacers find a way to get it done and have a chance to go back to New York to close out that series there. But
Pacers Thunder finals would go very hard. That would be awesome.
You would have
I would enjoy that.
the best defense in the league versus one of the best offenses in the league in the Pacers and the Thunder, and two contrasting styles there would be a lot of fun to watch.
It would be played fast and a lot of guards, a lot of wings, a lot of feisty, pesky, a lot of trash. It would be awesome.
Like the pace
be
of
awesome.
Indiana versus the ability for the Oklahoma City Thunder to turn you over and to get out in transition. I would love to see how Indiana handles that kind of pressure on a possession-to-possession basis because OKC can bring it on that end of the floor, and dealing with Tyrese Halliburton would be fun to watch there.
I think I would prefer that matchup at this point. I think the Knicks would also be fun. I've got no dog in the fight. I think I would enjoy both versions of the finals. I think at this point we're assuming Thunder are going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're assuming the Thunder are going to win, and they are. I would enjoy either version of those finals, but I think slightly Indiana. I agree.
I think I'd rather watch the Pacers. Yeah, I think Mikhail and OG guarding Shea would be fun. That would be fun to watch.
Would be fun.
Brunson trying to God, whether it's Dort or Caruso or Shea or Case and Wallace, there's a lot. It would be tough on Jalen, I think, but it'd be fun to watch.
I was watching last night's game thinking, you know who the Mavericks could use on there, and then I think you've mentioned it too. Case and Wallace would be fantastic on this team.
Love Case and Wallace.
Case and Wallace would be really
You want
good.
the next Jrue Holiday. Case
Yeah.
and Wallace could be the next. You always want the next guy. You never want the guy. It's always better to be early than late. And Case and Wallace is the next Jrue.
Yeah, in the case for the Thunder, eventually I would imagine Lou Dort will price himself out and go somewhere else. Next thing you know, Case and Wallace Slips right on in there to replace a guy like Lou
Get him
Dort.
before that happens.
But
Come on.
that's what I'm saying.
Come
Yeah.
on. Go get him.
That's where it is. We appreciate our guy Tanner. Make us look good and sound good as always here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Again, hopefully you had a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. If you missed any of our terrific guests that we had last week.
That was Ben just chopped liver.
What? Is he producing the show? No, I'm just joking. Shout
Damn.
out to our guy GM Ben.
Damn.
Shout out to our guy GM Ben. But Tanner's
I'm
pushing
staying
the
out of
buttons, damn it. Tanner's pushing the buttons. Okay? We're going to get out of here. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. That is our Mavs beat writer, Tim Cato.
KG
I'm
said,
your host,
get off
Kevin
your
Gray.
effing butt and work.
We are.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
We'll talk to you
Yeah.
tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all enjoy the rest of the day. We'll talk to you later. Love you, Ben. Talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.